And from here, I'm going to open a folder where I want to place all my Node related files. So for that, I can go to File, Open Folder, and I have created this folder in C drive with this name Node.js course. And inside that, I have another folder called Node.js Basics. So I will select this folder and I will click on this Select Folder button. And currently, this folder is empty. So we don't have any files in this folder. Let's go ahead and let's create a new file inside this Node.js Basics folder. And I will call it app.js. So since Node.js uses JavaScript, that's why the extension of these files will be .js. And now in this file, we can go ahead and we can write some Node.js code. And let's start simple. Let's start by printing something into the console, into the terminal. So if you want to print something into the console, in the terminal, you can use console.log statement. And to this console.log statement, you can pass a value, a string value which you want to log. So here let's say hello from Node.js. Now we want to execute this Node.js code and we want to see the result. For that, open VS Code built-in terminal. Here you can also use command prompt or terminal if you're using macOS. But since VS Code provides a built-in terminal, we are going to use that built-in terminal here. And to execute a Node.js file, you have to type this command node space the name of the file which you want to execute. Here we want to execute app.js. If I press enter, this file will be executed and you can see that message has been logged here. Now, if I use this console.log statement one more time, and let's change this message to something else. Let's say this is my first Node.js app. And if I don't save this file, and if I try to execute this app.js file by again typing this node space app.js command, if I press enter, you see it has only logged this first message. It did not log this second message. That's because we did not save this file. So every time before you execute the Node.js file, you must save it. Otherwise, you might get the unwanted result. So if I go ahead and if I save the changes now, and if I execute this node space app.js command again, if I press enter, now we should see both these messages. Let's clear the console by typing cls command. So here we learned how to output some message in the terminal using the console.log statement. But what if we want to read some input from the user from the terminal? To read a value from the terminal, we don't have any built-in function in Node.js, but we can use a module provided by Node.js to read inputs from the terminal. So let me go ahead and let me remove this code. And let's import readline module. Now to import a module in Node.js, we use require function. And to this require function, we need to pass the module name which we want to use. And we need to pass it as a string. So here we want to import the readline module. Now this require function is going to return an object. Let's go ahead and let's store that object in a variable. Let's simply call it readline. And this readline module provides us an interface to read inputs from the terminal. And before we can read input from the terminal and write something onto the terminal, we need to create that interface. For that, on this readline variable, so basically this readline, it is going to return an object. And that object will be assigned to this readline variable. And on that object, we have a method called create interface. To this create interface, we need to pass an object. And inside this object, we need to specify two properties. First, we need to specify the input property. So this input property specifies from where it has to read the input. To that, we need to assign process.stdin. Then we also need to specify the output property. So basically where it has to write the output. And for that, we say process.stdout. Okay, so here we have created an interface. Let's go ahead and let's assign that interface to a variable. Let's call it RL. And now we can use this interface to read inputs from the terminal. So here we can say RL, which is the interface, and on that we have a method called question. This question takes two parameters. The first parameter, the first argument is the prompt message which you want to show to your user. Here let's say, please enter your name. And the second argument is a callback function which gets executed when the user enters the input and press enter. and this callback function will receive that input. Let's call it name, and let's go ahead and let's log that name. So here let's say you entered and then the value which is stored in this name parameter. With this, let's save the changes. Let's run this app.js file and it asks please enter your name. Let me enter my name and let me press enter. And as soon as I press enter, it says you entered Manoj. So this line has been executed. Now if you notice, this interface is still open. It has not been closed. So what we want is, after the user has entered some input and it has logged that input back to the console, we also want to close the interface. For that, on this interface, which we are storing in this RL variable, on that we can call close method. Okay, let me exit this by pressing Ctrl C, and let's save the changes here in this app.js file and let's run this program again. So please enter your name. I will enter John. Let's press enter. So you entered John, and now you can see after printing this, the interface has also been closed. Now we can also listen to this close event. So whenever the interface will be closed, it will emit a close event, and we can listen to that close event and we can do something when that close event happens. For that, on this interface, so basically we are storing that interface in this RL variable, we can use this on method, and this on method listens to an event. For that, we need to pass the event name here. So here the event name will be close. And when this close event happens, we can execute some logic. For that, to this on method as a second parameter, we need to pass a callback function. And inside this callback function, we can write the logic which we want to perform when the interface will be closed. So here, let's simply log a message saying that interface closed. And once the interface is closed, let's say we also want to exit from the process. So for that, we can say process.exit. And to this exit method, we need to pass an exit code. Let's pass 0. With this, let's save the changes. Let's run this app.js file again by typing this node space app.js file name, and let's press enter. So it asks for a name. Let's pass Steve. Let's press enter, and you can see it has logged you entered Steve, and then it also logs interface closed. So basically this line of code has also been executed. That's because when the interface closed, it emitted the close event, and here this on method is listening to that close event. When that close event happened, it executed this callback function. So in this lecture we learned how to output something onto the terminal and how to read inputs from the terminal. In the next lecture, let's see how we can work with files in Node.js.